Hi and welcome to today's unboxing. Today I'm going to be trying out a medium that I have never tried before. So these are watercolor crayons by Mungyo, and this is a set of 12 assorted colors, and I'm extremely excited to try this. I came across these like a couple of weeks ago where I was seeing a couple of artists who were using these crayons on top of acrylic paintings, especially if you add a base and then you add some things like this on top of it and then you're able to paint. So that was my intention of getting these, but I think these are pretty versatile because you can see the artwork over here which is created through them. So this is pretty handy. It's a small box. It's just a little bit bigger than my palm, so quite excited to try these out. So I got this for about 419 Indian rupees, and it's marketed by Hobbycraft. So let's try this. It's from Mungyo, so it's exciting. It has a nice box packaging inside. Outside it has this kind of a packaging, and here we have 12 colors which are mentioned here. There's white, salmon pink, chrome yellow, orange, red, dark ochre, crimson, light blue, cobalt, yellow green, deep green, and black. So this is what the colors look like. So they're pretty long, longer than your regular crayons, so it's long that way. The colors look nice as well. I'm excited to see whether it would really be water soluble and how will it be water soluble. Okay, so we're going to try out now. I love the sound of this. So we're going to try these out on 300 GSM sketchbook, and I'm going to make a small painting. Before that, we'll try each one out, we'll use some water, and we'll figure out how water soluble they are. So I've got my colors. I'm going to try each one out over here. White, you can't really see much because it's on white paper, but I think it will be very good for blending. We'll first try them out individually. So to apply these, it feels a little bit like, I think, oil pastels, but of course without the oily feel on the hands. And I'm not applying a lot of pressure. I'm just trying these out in a regular way, as I would with any other crayons. I don't really use a lot of crayons much anymore, but I remember when I was a kid, we would all start off with crayons and move on to oil pastels from there. The last color, which is the black. So now is time for the big reveal. Is it going to really work? So I'm going to use a synthetic brush, and we'll add some water, and then we'll try and see if we are able to find any of these to be watercolors. So I'm going to start off with probably this one because the white is not going to be seen much. So we'll start off with the next color, which is the salmon pink. It is pretty water soluble. So I have to work on it a little more than I would with, let's say, color pencils, or I think it's a similar style, but it's beautiful. It's really nice. I think the camera is not able to capture it completely, so I'm going to just bring it closer to show you how wonderfully the pigments have all like dissolved when I add water. So I'm now going to try for the rest of the colors. The yellow was really quick, pretty fast compared to the salmon pink, and this one here is the orange. I think because I also got this set of 12, it's going to be really handy to carry it anywhere. And when you're doing watercolor painting and then you just want to add like a little bit of color on top, or maybe some bright tone, you can use this. The pigment is quite strong. You can see how I'm able to create a huge variety of shades, from dark to light, with very, very little color. So this particular one I've had to struggle a little bit. So some of the colors are quite easy, some take a little more, but overall I think I'm quite happy with how these are working. So darker colors are easier, and the reds and the oranges are much easier. Even this is pretty okay. Now for the greens, little more I had to work. So basically what's happening is if I don't want these lines of the crayons to be seen, then I just have to run my brush over it a couple of times, which is still okay. It's not really a deal breaker. I think deal breaker would be if it spoils my paper, if it tears it, or if it leaves behind a strange residue. All of those would be a deal breaker, but so far I have not faced any issue which would make me say no, I will not use them. I love the colors. I think the palette is brilliant. I'm just going to try out the white, just for the feel of it, and so I get the feeling that I tried them all. So we'll now make a small painting, a small sketch, and we'll see whether these colors are blending with each other. They blend quite well individually. Now let's try and test it out and see if it blends with each other well. It's now time to put it to test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably draw a small sketch of a seascape maybe. Maybe we'll make a tree and grass here and the ocean, and we'll try and see if this works well. I'm going to start off with the tree first. I'll also add shades, so I'll add like darker green on top of this. It's quite handy to use. It's not too small, not too fat to hold, so the grip so far seems fine for me. Let's add some. This may be tricky when I'm trying to paint this. So we'll also try where I blend in the colors and then I try and draw, over it again with crayons. So checking if I have, yeah, I have a dark ochre. So I don't have a light yellow ochre. So I'm going to apply it a little lighter so that it doesn't overpower too much. Okay. Now for the sky. Don't want it to be too dark. And a little lighter blue for the ocean. I'll blend in a little bit of green with the ocean, and some dark blue also. And we'll have some grass here. Maybe some yellow on this. Okay, so now I'm going to use my brush and start blending. We'll start with the sky, so I'll use a slightly bigger brush for the sky. Got some water. For the sky, I'm using a single blue. I haven't mixed too many, just one. I think you don't need to add like a lot of, don't press too much, because especially if you don't want these lines to be shown. So that would be a good tip. And then I'm moving on to the water. This is where we've had like multiple colors, like you can see now the green coming in, a little bit of darker blue coming in. So wherever I know there's darker blue, I'm going over it multiple times. So it blends in the colors also quite well. So if I am having multiple colors together, they do blend in well. We'll go to the grass, and then in the end I'll do the tree. So you don't need to use too much water. I think just very little water is enough. You can go one point to another. I'm again trying out a very simple piece of artwork. Oops. Okay, now for my tree, being a little careful here because I know the brown is merging pretty dark. And for each individual, palm tree is my favorite to paint. It does help. So what happens is there's quite a good amount of pigment, so a lot of pigment also comes on your brush, so you can use that to add details to your painting. So it's not just that specific area that you're going to end up dissolving and getting the color on. So that's a good touch. That is a good positive that you can use. So here, because I didn't wait for my colors to dry, the brown mixed with the blue, but can be fixed. It's a small thing. So I can think of like a ton of uses for this, especially when I'm painting. And for plein air sketches, it's going to be quite useful. So you think of innovative ways of how you can utilize this really amazing feature of these colors. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of experiment where after doing the blend, I'm just adding a little bit of color. So when there is water on the paper already, what happens is it starts blending in at that moment itself, so it gives a good feel to it. I'm using a slightly smaller brush right now to blend in these because I want the lines to be shown here. So the second, third layers are pretty hard to dissolve, so be a little careful about that. I'm not able to do it as easily as the first layer, which was there at the bottom. So maybe it's slightly harder when you do the second and third layers, but otherwise it's quite nice. It's a very, very useful one. Okay. This is just a slight touch that I wanted to try. So this is how the colors are. I think these are brilliant. It's a very, very good buy for the amount that is there. And if you are somebody like me who likes to experiment with different kinds of art supplies, also if you're somebody who does a lot of acrylic painting, I think this would be a good buy, because after you add the base layers and multiple layers and you want to create something on top of it, you can't use a pencil, but you can use dissolvable crayons. These are going to be better than your dustless chalk or even your regular crayons or your regular color pencils, which may not work on top of acrylics. So I hope this was a useful video for you, and if you're new over here, do consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so you can keep getting lots of notifications of the videos that I put up regarding art supplies and different kinds of art tutorials. Thank you so much.